I brought the real deal. You guys don't have to listen to me. That's scary. First of all, thanks for your patience and staying through the draft, and appreciate you coming out. We're extremely excited with the two young men we were able to draft tonight. Kobe Brown out of Missouri, an all-SEC player, someone that checks the boxes we look for. We start with just the mental makeup, his competitiveness, toughness, high work rate, loves to play. He's got great length to play the position. He's a skilled guy. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He made huge improvement in his three-point shooting this year. That was the big thing. And I think style play changed. So he was fortunate to play for two terrific college coaches in Quanzo Martin and then Dennis Gates. Coach Gates plays more of a open, I call it a Princeton offense on steroids type approach, 5 out. It really, really took advantage of Kobe's strengths at his size, the ability to play different front court positions. So you saw they would put him in different actions, some different big, small pick and rolls. So you saw his ball skills. On the NBA level, I think what you'll be able to see him do is ability to drive a closeout, be a connector. Again, his shooting, to be able to shoot 42% from three. And defensively, they switched 1 through 5. Now, it's a different level, as good as SEC is in terms of going to the NBA, but you saw the length, his smarts, and then Trent and I were fortunate. We were able to take him out to dinner during the draft process, spend time with him. Terrific young man from Huntsville, Alabama, played for his dad, who was his high school coach. So we were really, really excited to add Kobe to our group. I'll pass it off to Trent to talk about Jordan Miller.
Yeah, Jordan graduated from University of Miami after starting at George Mason, where Jason Piambetti and our staff first noticed him. At University of Miami, he obviously played for Jay Larinaga's dad, our assistant coach, and so we knew what kind of character the kid was at a high level. And then the style of play that he played, the ability to pass, make decisions off the bounce, and be competitive in the ACC in terms of raising the level of a team that went to its first Final Four this past year, a Sweet 16 the year before. He's won every step of the way. It really attracted us to him, and we're lucky to add him to the fold as well as Kobe.
Well, questions?
First of all, Trent, congratulations. Well,
Thank you.
I guess these two younger guys on a much more veteran team, how did these two immediately contribute? I know you guys talk about what they do well, but on this veteran team wants to win now, how did these two fit in right away?
Well, I think team building having good young players is always critical in team building. I think even more so as we enter into this new CBA and with some of the restrictions of the second apron, that it's going to be very, very important to get good players on good contracts. We build our team around our 2 stars, but you have to have complementary skill sets. And so it's very, very important for these guys to play well, to earn T. Lou's trust, so they're able to get minutes. And we also know, because we do have a lot of good players, that we're very, very fortunate to have a great G League coach in Paul Hewitt. And we've seen the development of guys like Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, Brandon Boston, Musa Diabate, Jason Preston. And, now for those guys, especially for guys like some of our young guys, it's an opportunity hopefully for them to compete for rotation spots. And Kobe and Jordan, the same process. I think also their versatility, the more positions you can guard and the more positions you can play, it gives you more chances to get in the game. And I think both those guys will come in here and do everything in their power to make a really, really positive impression on the coaching staff and their teammates.
Y'all really drafted Kobe and Jordan the same draft, huh?
You like that, man? It's pretty good, Law.
Yeah, so when you look at these young guys, the guys that mentioned as young players, like there's only so many spots, and you see it teams kind of giving some guys opportunity to get minutes, get opportunities and everything. for Kobe and Jordan Miller, like, where does that start next month in some of the leagues? Like, where do you want to see those guys kind of focus on specifically and possibly improve between now and training camp?
Yeah, and a lot of it, again, is with T. Lou, the coaching staff, the player development staff, is we'll get the guys in here pretty quickly for summer league practice. And we spend some time, you know, a good couple weeks, and we start to put together an individual development plan. And it's, you know, a total 360. It's not just on the court, but off the court. So I think for both those guys, usually the speed of the game is usually the biggest adjustment, but also getting the best shape of your professional lives because you're going against the best of the best. So I think for both those guys, that will be critical. And then learning T. Lou's system. And the great thing is, like, our summer league team will be coached by Dante Jones. So it's great opportunities for our coaching staff to be able to take elevated roles. I always love when the assistant coach becomes the head coach because the empathy they have for the head coach to realize how incredibly hard of a job it is. But also for our young players, they get an opportunity to you know, learn from the beginning of kind of what it takes to be a pro.
And I know you guys kind of touched on what you guys want to see from them, but these guys were asked to score in their respective schools. Now coming into the league, they're not going to be maybe asked to score right away. So what do you guys want to see from them to help impact the game with the ball's not in their hands?
T?
Yeah, I think what they both share is high basketball IQ. They both got played through a good amount in their systems in college, and so they're served as connectors and glue guys already, even though they scored. Their defensive versatility that El touched on, and then their overall competitiveness. I think all three of those, if they can show that at the level we expected them from seeing them in college, at the summer league level, that'll be the first step to eventually getting to a place where we think they can help us.
Is there any sentiment to one of them potentially on two-way or anything like that for the G League team or anything?
I think at the appropriate time, you know, we'll dig into that just out of respect to, you know, the contract process.
We haven't seen you since the end of the season.
How happy are you, boy? That's why it's all smiles, man.
You look great as always.
Oh man, drinking as always. I like that.
Is there any update on how Kawhi's doing? Because I think when it was last left that he would figure out if he was going to have surgery or not. But that's just did he decide on that yet?
Yeah, he had a cleanup procedure done beginning of June, right around I think June 6th. It was just a cleanup. It went terrific. A very, very quick procedure. He'll be, you know, he feels great. You know, talking to him, he feels great. And it's a 8-week recovery from the time of surgery where you're back on the court playing, like if it was a game. But yeah, so it's we're very fortunate that it was just a quick little cleanup.
Do you expect him to be full go for training camp?
100%. Yeah.
Lawrence, you told us when we talked to you in late April that the plan was to continue building around Kawhi and PG. Is that still the plan? Is that something you guys are still determined to do entering the final year of their deals?
Yeah, that's still the plan. I mean, what we're trying to do is how can we put together the best team around these guys? And, you know, we look at the different things, what worked, what hasn't worked, the job that we have to do better, the job that we challenge our players to continue to do better. But yeah, that's we're trying to maximize these two and figure out ways that we can get better.
So you guys talked about, you specifically talked about getting younger, more athletic, respecting regular season. What strides, I guess, have to be made between now and you know, training camp to go towards that goal?
Yeah, well, I think in team building, the draft is just one part of the process. We'll have free agency that starts in a week. Then there'll be different opportunities in terms of, you know, looking for different avenues that we can get the team better. And we'll be very intentional about our goals. And look, sometimes you're able to achieve, you know, many of your goals prior to training camp. Sometimes it's going to be something you have to do along the way. Trent has said this since the time we started to work together, that the team you have in June isn't necessarily the same team you have in February and the same team you have in April. So it's a methodical process. The group does a great job with their planning and preparation. You try to identify, targets. Sometimes you can obtain those guys, sometimes you can't. But I think it's still the same, that we're looking for a better balance between guys in their pre-prime, prime, and on the other side of it. I think that's important, and so we'll continue to work hard and try to find the best fits.
Lawrence, what's been the conversation with those guys, Kawhi and Paul, in terms of understanding where y'all are trying to do short term and possibly beyond that long term? Like, what's been the dialogue with those guys in this offseason since y'all been in our lockers?
Yeah, I think you're very transparent in terms of what the plan is, both in the near term and also long term. Like, how are we going to build this? How will we be sustainable? The new CBA, I think we talked about it when we got together. It is going to change the way you build teams, and it's very, very important to share kind of the things how we see it. Listen to what those guys have to see, and just kind of try to work through it together, and how to build a team that every year has a chance to compete for a championship.
What's been the feedback that you got from them?
I mean, those guys have been terrific. I think they're disappointed with the way our season ended. They're disappointed that they couldn't finish the season. With both those guys, they take unbelievable pride in trying to do something that's never been done here as Clippers. And so it's incredibly frustrating for them, especially not to be on the floor, to be able to do for what they came here for. And sometimes we forget, we see the brilliance of two great basketball players, but we forget the emotions behind it. And there's a great deal of emotional fatigue and pain of not being able to deliver because your body lets you down at the worst possible moments. So those guys are very determined. They're great workers. We're fortunate. Our two best players, they really like and appreciate and respect each other, and their teammates like and respect them. And like I said, we'll continue to do a better job in all areas, how we can get better, and hopefully, we get some better fortune that at least we see where we're at, because this is a very competitive league. I mean, I think one of the lessons that we learned, we talked about it when we sat down last time, is the importance of those everyday habits. I mean, Denver was the best team in the Western Conference for basically the entire year, and they proved to be the best team in the world.
Do you expect to sign both Kawhi and Paul to the extensions when they're up this summer? And also, is length kind of an issue with that, because you mentioned the new CBA and everything?
Yeah, it's premature just because, Kawhi is, I think he's in July, extension eligible, Paul's September. We do talk kind of what the plan is, but we really can't get into those specifics until the appropriate date. And, we'll just have the dialogues like we do. We're just very, very honest and open conversation, and see if there's something that makes sense for all sides.
Lawrence, the last time that we talked to you, you said that you guys obviously hope to re-sign Russ. Different point guard options have come and gone since then. Is that still the hope right now to be able to bring him back?
Very much so. Now, Russ is a free agent. He gets to choose. As he's shown, he did a phenomenal job during his time with the Clippers. He's obviously had a Hall of Fame career, one of the top 75 of all time. So we want Russ back, but also respect the fact that he's a free agent, has a right to choose, but hopefully we can keep him a Clipper.
Sure. So we had the draft and everything. What more can you tell us about guys that you considered and guys who might be joining the team, like for summer camp, training camp, anything like that?
Yeah, Jason Piambetti, John Lawyer, Matt Morales, who runs the G League team, are literally working through that right now. We haven't gotten anybody locked up, but it might be literally when I get back, we have one or two done. So I'll have that answer to you as soon as I can.
And just for you, you've been in this front office for 6 years, and now you have an opportunity to kind of take that next step. Like you're a vet as far as like being in the front office, you just had all kinds of different roles. Like I know you hooped, like you have real diverse background. Like, you being a GM now, like, what does that mean for how you approach things? Because I know you can say, like, you've been with Lawrence and Mark and for that matter, Ty for a while, but, like, I'm sure things change when you're in this role. Like, how are you kind of approaching that right now?
Honestly, right now, like, this group, luckily, as you pointed out, has been together. And so it's leaning on Judd and Matt and Greg and their group to continue to do the things that they've done. Mike did a great job of setting them up and helping them learn and grow. And they're ready to do a little bit more. And so leaning on them. Jason and John, our two directors on the scouting side, are ready to do a little bit more. So hopefully I've done my job going into it of giving them more as we've gone along, that everyone's just ready to step into the next role. I've been fortunate enough to be with some really good people that have taught me things, and I think we've gotten to a great place here with Elle that we're always going to miss Mike, but he helped put us in place, and what the group we have here, that we're fortunate enough to be able to step forward, hopefully without him.
I don't want to speculate on any contract discussion with Ty, but potentially going to final year of a deal for a coach is a kind of murky territory historically. I'm curious what the commitment level to him is beyond just this year as you guys as head coach.
Yeah, I mean, look, we love Ty. We want Ty to be the head coach here for a long time. You know, we don't get into, I know, you know, there obviously was a lot made of extension conversations, stuff like that, but just out of respect to all those conversations, those are private. But we love Ty. Ty's a terrific coach. As you know, he has gifts that very few have. So he's an unbelievable connector with people. He sees the game in real time like few others. Obviously, you know, many have acknowledged, you know, that he's probably the best in terms of in-game adjustments. And so all those things will kind of take care of themselves at the appropriate time, but it doesn't change the way that we feel about Tebow.
Is there any concern about that kind of weighing on him at any point throughout the season, coaching through that at all?
No, because I mean, you know, again, without getting into contract terms, it's not like he's in the last year of his deal, so to speak.
Okay.
Will you still be actively looking to trade at trades?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Trent's been a lead voice here since he's come here. The way that we do things is this is a team approach. It's very collaborative, and Trent kind of made reference to it, just kind of how our group is. We don't deal in silos. I think when I made the transition from coaching the front office, the number one thing I learned is I don't know anything. So I better go hire the best of the best and let them do their jobs. And so I was very, very fortunate, you know, with Trent, with Mark, with Michael, with all the guys we have. And, you know, obviously Trent and Mark are going to be taking on bigger roles. But as Trent referenced, we have a bunch of guys, you know, from Judd Witten to Matt Elijah to Greg Pime, and I can keep going on and on. He talked about John Lawyer, Jason Piambetti. But we have a deep group, and we're really fortunate because we have an unbelievable chairman in Steve Ballmer who's given us great resources to be able to attract top talent. And the thing that kind of for me is one of the more prideful moments that I had of the season was when Michael left. It was this, okay? We already got it in terms of Trent moves up, Mark moves up, everyone moves up. So it was an awesome feeling to have such great talent internally that all we had to do is just move everyone up a notch, and everyone's able to really, really take advantage of the growth opportunity. So it's been great to be a part of.
Do you view the
Last one tonight.
the point guard spot and the power forward spot? I know there's lacking, I guess, productivity out of that power forward spot. Are those two positions you guys are kind of looking at? Are you looking beyond that? I know that you guys have got like Terrence and Bones who play that position well, but what are you looking at as far as those two positions, the power forward and the point guard?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, and Trent and I have been talking about this, and I think will come a point in time where you no longer say point guard, fours, like basketball's changed. You know, to me is, and it doesn't even have to be this way. You have a point, you have wings, and you have a big. The great thing about Kawhi and PG, they can play up, they can play down. Both Marcus and Cove, you know, both had some highs of the season, they both had some lows, and then Terrence, his versatility is what makes him so special. And one of the great things about coming to work every day, from the time you come into the building early in the morning, and I'm saying like 5 in the morning, you will see our players. And you'll see Jason Preston, you'll see Brandon Boston, you'll see Terrence Mann, you'll see Nicholas Batum at 6 a.m. every day. And then guess what? At night, coming back, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., there's Bones. Like, it's awesome to see these guys work. And my point is that basketball's evolved so much that if you do have positional size, to Trent's point about IQ and quick processing speed, and, you know, dribble, pass, and shoot, like, you're going to find your way on the basketball court, regardless of what the position is.
With respect to that, though, Ty said he does prefer playing a traditional point guard. You guys did start Terrence for like 20 games before the All-Star break, and now he's kind of shifted out. That's why I asked him, is that someone you already have on the roster? Because Ty did say he prefers to play traditional point guard.
Yeah, I think that, yes, in the sense that what I would say is the great thing about Ty is he is highly adjustable, right? The term traditional point guard refers to traditional, which means, wow, you got it, and we've seen him. So I think, I think what you're looking for is who can initiate an offense that can get the ball to Kawhi and PG in their spots, who can push tempo and play with pace, who can run pick and roll and make pick and roll reads. Now, if that's a traditional point guard, so be it. And I think we saw, like, with Russ can make passes that some of our other guys can't make. He plays with pace and with tempo, and I think it definitely was advantageous. But I think the more guys you can have that can initiate it, I think, we've talked about this before. You look at the teams that we're competing against. They don't all have a traditional point guard. In fact, I would challenge you to say very few do. That they play through their best players. Who's the point guard of the Nuggets? It's probably Joker. I mean, Jamal Murray's quote-unquote point guard. Golden State, like, Steph is one of the all-time great, but you can make the argument that Draymond's the trigger man. For Miami, Gabe Vincent starts at the point, but Bam is the trigger man. So I think you have to play off your best players and play to their strengths, but I think with Ty is we're trying to do everything we can to get him the players that he likes, and I think Ty also does a great job of, like, hey, front office is trying their best, but I'm also going to be flexible and adaptable, that I'll figure it out. We have good players, and I'm going to do my best to take advantage of their abilities.
Thanks, everybody.
Guys, thanks for your patience. Have a great night.
Sorry, y'all.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Devin, good to see you guys too.